Good morning, everyone. Meteorologist Michael Wilhite here with Southern Indiana weather. I'm going to forego the quick cast update this morning in favor of doing a severe weather update due to the threat for severe weather today. I'll try to make it as quick as I can for you folks. Our update today is sponsored by Metal Magic in Washington. You can give Chad a call at 698-8555 for all of your paintless dent repair needs. And folks, we may have that today, so keep that number in mind. We want to go back and pause that screen and write that number down. Satellite and radar into motion. We've got the cold front up to our north. You've got storms moving on here, and eventually that will move our way tonight. But there are a lot of questions about that today. Yeah, there's just a lot of questions about that today. Let's dive into the data here real quick. Let's go to the Storm Prediction Center and let's take a look at the categorical outlook. You remember that we have a slight risk for severe weather, as we've talked about for a few days. Now, yesterday, remember, they upgraded portions of the southeast corner of the state and into southwest Ohio into an upper end slight risk. They have taken that away, and they've given it just a 15% low end slight risk for everybody. Hail probabilities, they have hatched an area here towards Indianapolis, if the everything ever wants to load here. They've hatched an area here towards Indianapolis, Terre Haute, maybe towards Bloomington and north here, as the greatest risk for some large hail today. So we will watch that and see whether that happens. And then there's a 2% tornado risk as well. Tornadoes are not really something that I'm worried about today. I think wind and hail are the biggest threats, and wind's probably the biggest threats. Hail potentially a little bit further to our north. Now let's take a look at the surface map and give you an idea on this, folks. All right. I did a Beyond the Weather video last night where I went in depth in these, so I'm not going to go in depth on every parameter tonight. You want to know more about that? There's a good lengthy 15-minute video with all of the severe weather parameters just barfed up for you and regurgitated out there as best I can, making it as simple as I can. And you can go to that if you're sort of a weather buff and want to know more about that. But for the sake of those who just need the very basic data that we would have, I wanted to do this update this morning. All right. Remember that to get severe weather, we need three things. We need instability, we need good wind energy, and we need something to lift those storms into the atmosphere. We call it forcing or a lifting mechanism. I'm just going to concede we're going to have plenty of instability today. It's going to be ridiculous, all right? Plenty of that. Wind energy, not the best we've ever seen, but enough to fire organized severe storms, all right? Question that we're going to have is the forcing. Look where the cold front is. This is right now, well north into Indiana. Here by 1 o'clock this afternoon, it's just now getting into northern Indiana. And if we go to 7 p.m. this evening, the stinking thing is still way to our north. So the question is, when does it start to move into our area? It doesn't get into our area here on the south part of the state until about 7 a.m. tomorrow morning. So that's very questionable with that. That's going to be one of these type of an issues then where we are going to have something else fire these storms. Either that or the storms are going to fire late in the day, and then that diminishes our severe weather threat by the time they would get here. The storms that are ongoing out there right now, if we can get those to have sort of an outflow boundary and push its way south, that might act as sort of a mini cold front and develop a cold pool. And I'm using technical terms. I know some of you've heard these, some of you haven't, but basically that cold air that rushes ahead of a severe storm sometimes can actually redevelop more storms, and maybe we'll get that today. Maybe we won't, but if we're waiting for the cold front to move into our area here, it's not going to move until about 7 p.m. or so, and that means by the time it gets down into here, it's going to be very late in the day. Let's time it out on future radar, and you'll show you exactly what I mean. Let me give you 4 quick future radar views just to give you an idea here. All right. Here we go. Here is during the day, and take a look. Here it is. You don't see much going on the high-resolution dam. Here's 4 o'clock in the afternoon, and there's diddly squat going on. Here's 6 o'clock. Finally, by 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock, you got a line starting to develop north of Indianapolis. Again, that's the time that the cold front is starting to going to be pushing into the area, and you're getting the cold front into the region with the better severe weather parameters, so it's starting to fire off some storms. And take a look at this. Yesterday, you remember that I said the area at greatest risk for severe weather would be basically the southeast quadrant of the state and into southwest Ohio. That was the area that they chose to upgrade to an upper end slight risk yesterday. They've taken that upper end slide out, but again, on future radar, that's the area that we're seeing. Notice southwest Indiana, largely high and dry with this, and as we continue to move on, here we are into the overnight hours, 3, 4 in the morning before anything moves into southwest Indiana. So I'm not going to say southwest Indiana is all clear, but on this future radar, it's very minimal chance for severe weather, and really minimal chance for severe weather for all of us due to the late hour that this is firing in. Let's take a look at the high-res model, high-res rapid refresh, HERN model. It's the strongest one we have. It only goes out to 15 hours, though. That's the problem with this. But here we go by noon. Absolutely nothing going on. It doesn't start to fire any storms up until about 4 o'clock today. And does start to race those in, but as far as it goes out here at 6 o'clock, you can see it's only a few storms. And notice the direction it's moving. It's all moving towards that southeast corner of the state and southwest corner of the state, largely high and dry with this. We can take a look at the NMM model as well, just to give you a differing perspective on this. This is a little bit more aggressive. By about 6, 7, 8 o'clock tonight, you can see it's got a lot of storm development in our area. Sort of the Lone Ranger with developing those storms. If you take a look at the ARW finally here, you get pretty good agreement with the others. That finally here is 3 in the afternoon. Here's 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 o'clock in the afternoon, and again, you don't see much development at all in the way of these, and it's confined mostly to this area once again that I highlighted yesterday as at the greatest risk for severe weather. So lots of questions up in the air today as far as when anything would get developed. So let me go ahead and take this off of here and then just do this for you. Again, with the cold front, it's not going to be into this area until at least 7 p.m. tonight. So what would that be for our risk for severe weather? The greatest threat for severe weather, then I think, would probably be in this area. And that's where you're going to have the greatest threat for severe weather. Now, that's not to say that this area wouldn't get any severe weather, but I think the area with this is probably much more questionable at best. So really, I would say here you've got essentially the I-65 corridor comes down in here. So we're going to say pretty much east of I-65, that's where you're going to have the greatest chance for severe weather. West of I-65, the chance is still there. We can't rule it out. To be completely honest with you, future radars don't always excel in these type of situations. They just don't. Sometimes they perform well, sometimes they don't, and you can see every one of them had a completely different look to it. Had some similarities, but a little bit of similarities, but for the most part, they were radically different from each other, not only in coverage of storms, but on timing as well. So it's just something that we're going to have to monitor today, folks, and that's unfortunately that's just the way it's going to be. And again, this is going to be one of those days where we could see some explosive development under the right conditions, but I don't think the right conditions are there. I think we're going to struggle to get storms developed this afternoon based on the way things look to me right now. And if that's the case, that will certainly limit our severe weather. But nonetheless, I'll be here this afternoon and updating you, and we'll update you as things happen here. All right, go to southernindianaweather.com. We'll take a look at your 7-day forecast, sponsored by Ubelor Sons real quick. About 85 degrees for your high today. We can take a look at your plan, your day forecast as well. Expected high temperatures across the area gets into the low to mid 80s for everyone, and it will be breezy today. Again, slight risk for severe weather for all of us today. So a strong to severe thunderstorm is possible. Then as you go on through the outlook, you got upper 70s, and it starts to become mostly sunny skies. Gorgeous weekend shaping up for us. So you got Memorial Day weekend plans. Absolutely beautiful. Next rain chance then moves in on Tuesday. All right, folks, that is it for this video. A little bit longer than I wanted, but we'll cut it off here at about 8 minutes. And stay safe out there today, folks. Keep it tuned to Southern Indiana Weather on Facebook. Follow us on Twitter at SouthernINWX, and keep it here to southernindianaweather.com, our website, for the latest details. All right, take care and stay safe, folks. Have a great day.